Hello.
Hello and welcome.
And welcome. Uh-oh. Our
Oh,
mascot wants to say hi. He looks
Thanks.
scary.
No, I love it when his little arms are
His
out
arms,
straight
yeah.
like that.
Well, this is
So
Banks.
cute.
I'm Olivia.
And I'm Amy, and
And
this
this
is
is Girls
Girls
Gone
Gone Spooky.
Spooky. I'm
Are we
excited.
excited?
I'm
Yes.
very excited. Okay, so I feel like this one has been a really long time coming. It's been on the list for a while. I feel like we haven't done it yet because we both know it's going to end up being a series.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of putting it off, wanted to do some single episode vibes first this season, but we're here. Here we are.
Yep.
Paranormal true crime, guys.
Yeah.
So where my favorite murder meets spooky girls.
Yes.
At that intersection.
What
So
more could you ask for?
What more could you ask for? I want to make a quick note though. Going back 2
I have
episodes.
one
too. Okay, yes. Going back 2 episodes to the dream episode. Of course, my dad had feedback. Hey, Dad.
Okay, great.
But it was actually a really good idea. He wasn't like roasting me for once. He was like, I have a thought.
Okay.
He's definitely going to call me and be like, I don't roast you. Be like, yeah, you do. I don't know what the answer is. So
and it's okay.
It's fine. I deserve it. But he had a really good idea. He was like, AI for dream analysis. And I was like, that's so true. And I was like, but well, there are 2 things. One is like search engines, Google, Bing, all of them, they all use their, like, Microsoft has Copilot, Google has Gemini. Like, they all use that when you search anything. So if you search on Google, for example, like, I had a dream about a horse, what does it mean? It'll probably pull using Gemini. But he was like saying that it actually probably would be better to use like a dedicated AI service like ChatGPT, for example, because you could put the whole dream in and it could pull all of the interpretations together. And then you could like fine tune it and be like, well, I had a dream with a horse in it, and then the horse bust through the wall of my living room, and then it's like, oh well, black horses, and you're like, no, the horse was brown. So you'd be able to like in real time like edit the analysis, and I thought that was a really good idea. So
wow,
there you have it.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah,
he's a real thinker.
He's a thinker, that one.
And that's why he can roast
what
us.
do we call him? Hagface.
Hagface.
He's a real thinker, that Hagface. Yeah, he's allowed to roast us. We love Hagface. Also, another funny thing with my dad, really quick. He is so. Do you remember the episode about? I'm gonna say it, Dad. So mute it for a second if you don't want to hear it. Crone of the Catskills, where the pond scum smell and whatever. He typed it out in our chat and deleted it. He's like, I don't even want it in writing. He's so scared of it now. And I'm like, Dad, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like, you're not even supposed to say the name. I was like, I know, I've said it a lot of times, so I'm good. So
that's true. Yeah, you just have to protect yourself.
Which, like, that one time though, I really did smell pond in my bathroom. So maybe actually I'm speaking too soon. But anyway, I thought that was really kind of like hee funny.
Yeah.
What was your note?
It is funny. Well, mine pertains to this episode, so
okay, good. Get us back on track.
Else. Okay.
No, that's it.
Because there's just an honorable mention of a previous episode that we did that fits perfectly with this. That's just, I went back and it was cracking me up, which is weird to laugh at your own stuff, but it was.
No, it's not. We're funny.
It's episode 88, and it's called "Ain't No Meat Cooked for Supper."
I remember that one. Ain't no meat cooked for supper.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The reason that that's relevant is because that is the only known case in which testimony from a ghost helped to convict a murderer. And that was the Greenbrier ghost. And yeah, I was listening to it, and it was just that whole situation. It was like
funny.
He murdered his wife because there ain't no meat cooked for supper, and it described the murder as him having like separated her head from her neck,
right?
Something
not
terrible,
funny, but
not funny. But yeah, episode 88. If you want to, return to something absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And funny.
I sometimes when I'm like going through, like I recently went through and on YouTube you can create like a podcast because I had them organized into like playlists, but I was like, oh, I'll just import the whole podcast. Well, not my best work because it imported videos of the audio only, even for the videos that have real recordings. So anyway, I now have to manually go through and remove them all. Annoying, but it's fine. It's like not a big deal. But it made me go through and look at some of our old titles, and they're really funny.
I know.
They're really funny. They really crack me up. So yeah, any hoozle. Should I jump right in here?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, I have two. So one is, I think they both happened in the UK. No, that's absolutely not true. I think one happened in Illinois. Yeah, one happened in Illinois. This one happened in the UK. And this is the Hammersmith ghost murder case. So similar, where it like set legal precedents in the UK. So this occurred in 1804. And the legal precedent that it set was that someone could be held liable for their actions, even if they were the consequence of a mistaken belief. So we'll get to this. Near the end of 1803, many people claimed to have seen or even have been attacked by a ghost in the Hammersmith area of London. A ghost believed by locals to be the spirit of a, trigger warning, suicide victim. On January 3rd, 1804, a 29-year-old excise officer, I don't know what that means, but an officer of some kind, named Francis Smith, a member of one of the armed patrols set up in the wake of the reports, shot and killed a bricklayer, Thomas Millwood, mistaking the white clothes of Millwood's trade for a shroud of a ghostly apparition. Smith was found guilty of murder and sentenced to death, later commuted to 1 year's hard labor, which just feels like a really dramatic change up, but like also probably good.
Yeah.
The issues surrounding the case were not settled for 180 years. Until a court of appeal decision in 1984.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why did it take so long?
I don't know. I think it was just so, I mean, it was like the Greenbrier case. Like it was like so just shocking to people. And like, it was like, how can we create a legal precedent off of something so like batty as this?
Yeah.
So some additional context. And some of these, like, here's the ghost part. So this part is like actually really spooky. So I can see why Smith reacted the way he did. But then there's like one like kind of funny note, so we'll get to that. From November 1803, like I said, a number of people in the Hammersmith area of London claimed to have seen, and some had been attacked by, a ghost. Local people said the ghost was of a man who had died by suicide the previous year and had been buried in the Hammersmith churchyard. The belief at the time was that suicide victims should not be buried in consecrated ground as their souls would not be at rest. Which seems a little backwards to me, but whatever.
Yeah.
All like church propaganda, I think. The apparition was described as being very tall and dressed in all white, but was also said to wear a calfskin garment with horns and large glass eyes at other times. Glass eyes? Don't know. Like glasses? I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, stories about the ghosts began to circulate. This is what is insane. 2 women, one elderly and the other pregnant, separately, were reported to have been seized by the ghost on separate occasions while walking near the churchyard. They were apparently so frightened that they both died from shock within a few days.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
A pregnant woman and an elderly woman. Like, literally died. Like, it is in historical records that they died of shock.
Oh my God.
Insane.
Whoa.
So like they must have been so insanely scared for that to happen.
Yeah. And I know like this was in the Victorian era.
Yeah.
Right? They probably had
so.
more
1800s
gentle constitutions or whatever you would say, but
yeah.
still, I don't know.
Still.
people die from fear very often.
Right. Which makes you think they actually saw a ghost, not just like some guy grabbed them.
Right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So they died. Very sad. A brewer's servant, Thomas Groom, later testified that while walking through the churchyard with a companion one night, close to 9 p.m., something rose from behind a tombstone and seized him by the throat.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like really scary.
Yeah.
Hearing the scuffle, his companion turned around, at which point the ghost, quote, gave me a twist round and I saw nothing. I gave a bit of a push out with my fist and felt something soft like a greatcoat, end quote. On the 29th of December, William Girdler, a night watchman, saw the ghost while near Beaver Lane and gave chase. The apparition threw off its shroud and managed to escape. With London not having an organized police force at that time, and as many people were very frightened, according to Girdler, several citizens formed armed patrols in hopes of apprehending the ghost. Not sure how they thought they were going to apprehend a ghost, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And I think the question, exactly, I think the question is sort of like, was there a ghost and then there was a person mimicking that there was a ghost, or was it a person all along? So obviously skeptics would say person all along, but the women dying just seems, I don't know, that just doesn't match up for me.
Yeah. Agreed.
So this leads us to the death of Thomas Millwood. At the corner of Beaver Lane, while making his rounds around 10:30 p.m. on January 3rd, 1804, Girdler met one of the armed citizens patrolling the area, this officer, Francis Smith, who was 29, and armed with a shotgun. Smith told Girdler he was going to look for the supposed ghost. Girdler agreed that he would join him after he had called the hour at 11 p.m. and that they would take the ghost if possible, and then went their separate ways. So they were like, we've got a plan. We'll meet at 11. That's only in 30 minutes. Oh. Just after 11, Smith encountered Thomas Millwood, a bricklayer who was wearing the normal white clothing of his trade, linen trousers entirely in white, washed very clean, a waistcoat of flannel, apparently new, very white, and an apron which he wore around him. Millwood had been heading home from a visit to his parents and sister who lived in Black Lion Lane. According to Anne Millwood, his sister, immediately after seeing her brother off, she heard Smith challenge him, saying, "Damn you, who are you and what are you? Damn you, I'll shoot you." After which Smith shot him in the left of the lower jaw and killed him. He shot him in the face. It's crazy.
That's pretty serious.
Yeah. So hearing the shot, Girdler and Smith's neighbor, John Locke, together with George Stowe, met Smith, who appeared very much agitated. Upon seeing Millwood's body, the others advised Smith to return home. Meanwhile, Constable arrived at the scene and took Smith into custody. Millwood's corpse was carried to an inn where a surgeon, Mr. Flower, examined the body on the 6th of January and pronounced death to be the result of, quote, a gunshot wound on the left side of the lower jaw, with small shot about size number 4, one of which had penetrated the vertebrae of the neck and injured the spinal marrow. So he probably wouldn't have died if it hadn't gone through his spine, which is really sad.
Yeah.
But this guy clearly freaked out. Right. Smith was tried for willful murder. The deceased's wife, Mrs. Fulbrook, stated that she had warned him to cover his white clothing. This is the part that's not funny, but it's a little funny. She had warned him to cover his white clothing with a greatcoat, as he had already been mistaken as the ghost on a previous occasion.
Oh no.
She was like, put something over that. People are going to think you're the ghost again.
What a
so he had frightened 2 ladies and a gentleman who were coming along the street in a carriage once before. And then the man, I guess, said oh, there goes the ghost. And then they realized that it was just a guy. So she said, I begged him to change his dress. Thomas, says I, as there is a piece of work about the ghost and your clothes look white, pray do put on your great coat that you may not run any danger. So very sad. Millwood's sister testified that although Smith had called on her brother to stop or he would shoot, he fired the gun almost immediately after that. So, this then gets into the legal piece of should have been clear to Smith that this was just a guy, and he kind of didn't even give him a chance. So again, you can be held liable for your actions, even if they're the consequence of a mistaken belief. So
Yeah.
that is
Interesting.
the Hammersmith ghost murder case, which is just
Wow.
like so spooky, especially because those women died.
I know.
It's just
Yeah.
crazy to me.
From fear, right?
Fear,
Was
literally.
that, did they have the actual cause of death? Or was it like fear?
You mean for the women? They say
Mm-hmm.
shock. Like,
Shock.
so I guess like a heart attack? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. That's the only thing that kind of makes sense to me, like medically. I think
Yeah.
that's what happens, right? You go into cardiac arrest.
I think so. Yeah.
But I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Scary.
Yeah, very scary.
That is interesting that it set a precedent for
Yeah.
other. Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
I know. Okay, your turn.
Okay. Let me see. I will start with, cause this is interesting because I don't know what your other one is, but both of mine have to do with ghosts helping solve their own murder. So this one will start with the murder of Teresita Basa. So Teresita was born in the Philippines in 1929, and she came to the US in 1960 and got a job as a respiratory therapist at a hospital in Chicago to support herself and her family, while she also studied to get her master's degree in music. On February 21st, 1977, the fire department reported to Teresita's apartment after her neighbors reported smelling smoke in the area. When they entered the apartment, though, they found Teresita naked, pinned underneath her mattress with a stab wound in her chest.
Whoa.
So it was a
That
pretty
reminds me of
brutal.
that like weird story of the like she's in the house. Do you remember the one I just did for the scary stories where she's like in the
Oh,
mattress?
oh yeah,
Ew,
yeah.
that just reminded me
That's
so much of that.
weird.
And then it's like, but where am I? Ugh.
Yeah, ew, yeah. That that does
Mega
remind me of
ew.
that too.
Yeah,
That
sorry. Just had
yeah.
to share my
I
ick.
don't. Yeah, I don't know why she was underneath the
Mm-mm.
mattress in this story either. Um, but and yeah, one little good thing I suppose is that even though it looks like she probably would have been a victim of sexual assault, she was not.
Okay.
So that's one small blessing.
Yeah.
But for 5 months after discovering her, police had no leads and no idea
Oh my
who
God.
would have wanted her dead.
5 months. Can you
Yeah,
imagine how furious her family
I
was?
know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, forever. And finally, after 6 months, the Washington Post reported that somebody named Dr. Jose C. Chua Jr., who was a coworker of hers, claimed that his wife, whose name is Remibias, which I have never heard that name
Mm.
before, was having visions about Teresita's murder.
Oh,
So
what?
he said, Doctor, I would like to ask for your help. The man who murdered me is still at large. Dr. Chua claimed his wife had said that while she was in a trance.
Oh, whoa.
And when he pressed his entranced wife further about her identity, he said, I was really surprised and scared when I asked her her name, and she answered, Ako I, which translates to I am, Teresita Basa.
Oh, I just got chills. She gave her name?
Yeah, she did.
Also, I love the name Teresita.
I
Little
know.
Teresa.
Yeah,
It's so cute.
Teresita. It is cute.
Teresita.
But
Rest
yeah,
in peace,
Teresita Basa.
Teresita.
I know. Did not deserve this. But
No.
her ghost had something to say about it. So
Yeah, good.
yeah, she
Tell
came
him.
back. She said, she told him I had nothing to be scared of, and she was really pleading for help to solve her murder.
Mm.
And this ghost that was appearing through Dr. Chua's wife pointed the finger at Alan Showery, I'm not really sure. He was also a respiratory therapist who worked at the same hospital. And although Showery initially tried to get the case against him thrown out because all the evidence came from the great beyond, police testified that he went quietly with investigators when he was first suspected in the murder, almost a tacit acknowledgement of his guilt. And after an initial mistrial, Showery ultimately decided to plead guilty to the crime in 1979, and he was sentenced to 14 years in prison.
Seems like it should be longer for murder, but okay.
Yes, I agree. I think I must have left a part out, but I remember that one piece of evidence that was not from the Great Beyond was that in Teresita's notebook, she had written a note about do something for AS. And his initials are Alan Showery, AS.
Yeah.
So they were starting to make these little links. And then it also came out later that Remy Diaz, or Remy, the wife who was channeling this spirit, she had actually also worked at the hospital before.
Oh.
They thought that she was like a stranger to these people.
Yeah.
But it turns out that she did know them as well. So then skeptics were like, okay, she probably knew something and she was too scared to come forward, so came forward under the guise of the paranormal. But either way, she solved this murder. So and she said this on the stand. She said that Bassa spoke through my lips, and that all I remember is hearing the name Alan, and I felt really cold and thirsty. So I don't know if she's making that up or...
Yeah, I don't I don't know this woman obviously, but like kind of why? Like I guess like you're putting yourself at risk either way. You're pointing the finger at him. So that doesn't protect you, saying a ghost told you. You're still telling the authorities. So I don't know. I kind of don't buy that like skeptic explanation.
Agreed. Yeah. So I thought that one was really interesting. And thankfully, I mean, he should have gotten longer for his crime, but
agreed.
He, at least some justice was served. So
did they say like why he killed her?
Yeah, I think he robbed her. She had a lot of gold jewelry and things in her apartment that was missing.
Oh my God.
After she was found. So
that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's so petty.
I know. Yeah. Horrible.
Ugh, gross. Hate that.
She brought forward her own justice. So
yeah.
Claps for Teresita.
Yeah. Claps and snaps for Teresita.
Yes.
Okay, are we ready for another?
Yes.
This is the story of Mary Jane Reed and Stanley Skridla. A story of swapped skulls, law enforcement cover-ups, and ghostly stories.
Wow.
So 28-year-old Stanley Skridla and 17-year-old Mary Jane Reed were the victims.
Okay.
Stanley asked Mary Jane Reed out on a date for June 25th, 1948, and it would come to be...
Did you say he's 28 and she's 17?
Yes.
Okay, ew.
I did. Right. But this is 1948, so there's that.
Yes.
It would come to be their last day alive and would spawn a mystery that continues to persist 70 years later. So this is partially wrapped up, like summarized by a user Deep Sapphire 1 on Reddit, and then I like pulled from some other sources as well. Okay, so the original crime. Mary Jane Reed had dropped out of high school so she could spend more time helping to care for her ailing mother. She was able to secure a switchboard job at DeKalb Ogle Telephone Company, I don't know if I'm saying that right, in her very small rural hometown of Oregon, Illinois. This is where she would meet Stanley Skridla, a World War II Navy veteran who worked for Illinois Bell Telephone Company. Despite the age difference, Reed accepted his offer for a date night. The couple was seen together at 2 or 3 bars that night, including a final stop at a place called Roadhouse. Afterwards, it's presumed they headed out to a known makeout point on County Farm Road around 11:30 p.m. Departing the roadhouse would be the last verified account of someone seeing them alive. The next morning, a state highway worker sees a shoe lying on the side of the road. Upon closer inspection, he discovers the bullet-ridden body of Stanley Skridla down in a nearby ditch. He had been shot once in the chest, 4 times in the abdomen and groin area, and was also found with his face, quote-unquote, burned off.
No.
Yeah.
Gruesome.
His abandoned car was found later that day, about 13 miles away, with his wallet and keys missing. Skridla was buried in Calvary Cemetery on June 28, 1948. Mary Jane Reed would not be found for another 3 days on June 29th. So he's buried before she's even found. Despite having already searched the general area, a truck driver found Reed's body when he smelled something strange and decided to look around for the source. She was found in only her bra and panties among tall weeds. The coroner who examined Reed determined that she died from a single gunshot wound to the back of the head with no evidence of sexual assault. So again, small silver lining.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mary Jane was supposed to have been a bridesmaid in her brother's wedding coming up soon and had saved for and purchased a beautiful new dress for the occasion. Her family requested that she be buried in that dress and gave it to the funeral home. Her funeral was closed casket due to the state of her body, which they don't elaborate on, but apparently very not good. Because she was also like in a state of decomp at that point.
Right. No.
An original investigator of the case told the Chicago Tribune in 2003, some people wouldn't talk at all. They were afraid that they would become a victim, especially the women. They never did ever talk. End quote. The investigation never really went anywhere. Rumors in the community included a story of Reed dating a married man working in the sheriff's department and the murder being a cover-up. However, this was never confirmed. Several attempts at reopening the case over the next few decades would result in more silence and dead ends, with more and more evidence and files being lost. This is where it gets weird. By the late 90s and early 2000s, the story of Mary Jane Reed and Stanley Skridla has become a popular ghost story. Michael Arians insists his now restaurant, the Roadhouse, the last known sighting of the couple, is haunted by the ghost of Reed, with his employees refusing to take night shifts due to many strange incidents and apparitions attributed to this ghost. Michael Arians is not simply the owner of the Roadhouse. He was in fact mayor of Oregon, Illinois from 1999 to 2003. And it was during these times that he began to develop a serious interest in the Reed-Skridla case. In the next 16 years, Arians would spend over $100,000 to help solve this case. This guy just became personally super interested.
He's dedicated.
Yeah. In 2004, Michael Arians teamed up with the last surviving member of Mary Jane Reed's immediate family, her younger brother, Warren Reed, who was only 5 years old at the time of her death in 1948. The pair filed to have Reed's body exhumed. However, this was met by a motion to intervene filed by the state's attorney. In 2005, it was determined that the exhumation would go through if the Ogle County Sheriff's Department and County Coroner, along with the Illinois State Police, could supervise the examination. Both Warren Reed and Arians were extremely uncomfortable with the Ogle Sheriff's Department being part of the exhumation because of rampant rumors of a cover-up by the Sheriff's Department, this theory that she was dating a married man. Yeah. Nonetheless, the exhumation of Mary Jane Reed's body went forward. Buckle up.
Uh-oh.
When they opened Reed's burial vault in 2005, they noticed something strange. The slip and beautiful dress she was supposed to be buried in was wadded up in a ball next to the coffin, wrapped in newspapers with stories of her murder. She was also found to still be wearing the clothes she was murdered in. Various nails were found all over the coffin around the body. Samples were taken for DNA, and a sexual assault kit was done. Horrible for that little boy. I mean, he's not a little boy anymore, but for the younger brother who lost his sister, and that's how her body has been respected. It's horrible.
Yeah. Oh God.
But then people are like, wait, when did that happen? Had someone already dug up her grave? So in 2006, Warren Reed and Arians voiced frustration with the handling of the exhumation. X-rays taken of Mary Jane Reed's body were never handed over to Warren, and in fact was specifically ordered by a judge not to hand them over. So weird.
Yeah.
There were also 13 minutes of audio missing from the autopsy recording. with the anthropologist stating, "I've never seen this before. I can't release this without the family's consent," immediately before the audio is shut off. When questioned about the missing audio, an Ogle County deputy claims his wife was responsible for making the copies. Classy. Blame your wife. Yeah. It was discovered during these years that the death certificates of both Skridla and Reed were never signed by the coroner who examined their bodies in 1948, but rather they were filled out and signed by an Ogle County deputy's wife at the time. Like,
what is happening?
So sketchy. It's just so sketchy. More shockingly, Warren and Arians announced in 2007 that they firmly believe the skull found in Mary Jane Reed's coffin is not hers. They had independently sent her skull and vertebrae to forensic experts and claim they have the assurance that the skull belongs to an Asian male and could not possibly be Mary Jane Reed's skull. In 2008, Warren Reed went through the higher courts to finally obtain the x-rays from his sister's exhumation, which revealed multiple broken ribs and a potential fatal gun wound to the chest. Warren Reed decided to sue Ogle County for $1.5 million in 2011 for misconduct in the handling of his sister's and Skridla's murder case, but an Ogle County judge dismissed the case in 2013. Warren continues to plead for the FBI to get involved, but his requests have gone unanswered. Michael Arians, with the blessing of Stanley's nephew, Steve Skridla, exhumed Stanley's body in 2015 in hopes of finding Reed's skull, along with other useful items inside his coffin. Nothing new was found other than a few bullet slugs that did not prove useful to the investigation, and Arians declared that his part in helping this case was done, and he, quote, did all that he can do. Wow. Warren Reed and Michael Arians maintained that Mary Jane Reed and Stanley Skridla were murdered and then covered up by people involved with the Ogle County Sheriff's Department, with the motive being jealousy from Mary Jane's lover being a local judge or deputy. The Ogle County Sheriff's Department maintained there was no cover-up, accused Michael Arians of using the case for monetary gain, and hypothesized the murder was a robbery gone wrong by now-deceased culprits. And that's literally it. Like, that's
it's just
the case.
Unsolved. Yeah.
It's just unsolved. And, like,
Cold case.
Her skull is gone.
Right. Where's that?
What? Where is that?
It's in somebody's grandpa's attic.
And the dress and slip weren't balled up next to her. It was next to the coffin. It wasn't even in the coffin.
Okay.
So, like,
weird.
What? Like, the whole thing just doesn't make any sense. So, like, did the coroner do that? Or not the coroner, but, like, the funeral home? Or did that happen after? Did someone come dig up her body after she was buried and do that to her? Like, it's just horrible.
Right.
So I want to go a little bit into the haunting part, because it's not necessarily like, I don't know, it's not like she's trying to solve her death or murder or whatever, but, like, it's definitely weird. Like, and a lot of people have firsthand accounts of it, of seeing her. So this is actually from, like, a local radio station site. So the Roadhouse is at the corner of Route 2 in Illinois and Pines Road in Oregon, Illinois. And according to the website, which is ourhouse.org, the owners who purchased the building back in 1993 were told that it was haunted, but dismissed it because the building was just in total disrepair. And so they were like, yeah, of course it's haunted. It's just, like, run down. Yeah. So that said, while they were renovating it, they said a young woman appeared twice to both of them, walking through the building saying, "How nice it'll be once it's complete," and then disappeared into thin air.
Whoa.
Yeah, so weird. So the owners then found out that there's this unsolved double murder that occurred. Employees to this day refuse to work late shifts there alone because of the strange things they hear, and because the jukebox plays erratically by itself after midnight, stopping abruptly in the middle of a song. And one song in particular plays consistently by itself. They've connected the song to that of being a favorite of Mary Jane's, and it will play whenever it wants and as many times in a row as it wants with no technical explanation. Wow. So it's, like, kind of sweet. She's like, I just want to listen to my music. Yeah. Like, you guys do whatever.
If I'm gonna be here, might as well enjoy.
Yeah. Other reports include smelling really strong perfume and flowers in certain rooms after hours. Employees have seen a woman walking, almost gliding through the front hall past the swinging saloon doors in the after hours of the bar. Some workers have felt a touch and then a cool breeze pass by them. They've also said that utensils in the kitchen have fallen from shelves or hurled themselves across the room with no one touching them. Yeah. It's also been known, as stated in mysteriousheartland.com, that cigar smoke can be smelled in the air and the clinking of poker chips can be heard in the basement, as this place was once a gambling hall and speakeasy during the Prohibition years in the 1920s and 30s. So apparently not just haunted by poor Mary Jane Reid, but by some others as well. So I hope she's in good company, because it's just,
sad.
very sad. Very sad.
Yeah. And mysterious.
So
And
mysterious.
like something really bad happened to her even after she was gone.
Yeah, I know. It's
sad.
It's a very like sad, spooky, like one for sure. But I just thought it's just so weird. It's just so like strange.
Very. Right.
So anyway, I was like just like jaw on my laptop, I can't stop reading about this, so I had to share it.
Yes, that's for sure.
But your turn.
Okay. I have another one that is the ghost, potentially, of the victim helping to describe what happened. So, this is the Red Barn murder.
Oh my God. I almost shared this one. I'm so happy.
I liked this one. It's, like pretty cut and dry.
Yes.
Sort of, let's do this. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in 1827, Maria Martin and William Corder had arranged to elope. By the way, this I just copied directly from, I think it was a cracked.com article.
Oh,
and the writer is so funny. So I'm just going to read that.
Okay, I love that.
They're not my jokes. So
okay. Not taking credit.
Not taking credit. Okay. As dramatic young beaus with sketchy reputations are wont to do. So they agreed to meet at the Red Barn, a local landmark in their town in Suffolk, England, because small Victorian hamlets didn't have Baskin-Robbins to meet up at.
Ooh, I want Baskin-Robbins. That sounds so good.
I haven't had Baskin-Robbins in forever. But
I get it as a little treat to myself sometimes. There's kind of a walk to one, and so I walk just to get it.
Mm-hmm. And then it cancels it out because
it does, exactly.
You walked there.
You've done a walk.
So, yeah. We have a Cold Stone right near here now, and we went, and man, it's good.
Do you ever get strawberry?
No.
I'm not a fruity ice cream person, but the strawberry with rainbow sprinkles slaps. Oh, it's such a kid order, but it's what I used to get when I was little, and it slaps.
Yeah. Okay.
It's really good.
Maybe I'll have Dave try that because strawberry is his favorite.
Okay,
but
perfect.
He always gets gummy bears, and I'm like,
but when they're cold, they freeze. They're horrible. Yeah, you can't chew them.
He loves it. Yeah,
that's so funny. Oh, Dave, you silly bitch.
Yeah, that's exactly how I would describe him.
Silly bitch.
Yep. Okay, so 2 lovers entered the barn, but only one left. So. William skipped town soon after his clandestine meeting, but no one saw Maria leave with him. He wrote letters to her family, but made increasingly transparent excuses for why none of them were coming from Maria herself. She was sick, she had hurt her hand, the post office must have lost her letter. After a few months, Maria's stepmother began to have troubling dreams. That was in quotes. In which Maria was murdered and buried in the Red Barn, a building that only sounds spookier the more times we type its name. She was convinced that her daughter's spirit was drawing her to that location, and eventually her husband agreed to search the barn to soothe his crazy wife's mind. A few shovels worth of dirt later, Maria's body was discovered. Authorities had little trouble tracking down William, who it turns out wasn't exactly a criminal mastermind, and was just milling about in London with pistols and incriminating letters tucked under his bed.
What an idiot.
In one of the biggest trials of the era, he was found guilty of brutally murdering Maria over a petty argument and was hanged for his crimes. But
good riddance.
Goodbye. And this is so strange. So the site of the Callis murder became a popular landmark for rubberneckers. And over time, the Red Barn was stripped clean by ye old true crime enthusiasts looking for souvenirs.
Oh.
Likewise, but much more disturbingly, William was also stripped clean. His skeleton was put on display in a museum, while his skin was used to bind a book about the murder.
Ew, what the fuck?
What kind of sicko is doing that? But it's also like...
what kind of sicko is doing that? I think that's our episode title. Shit. Oh my god.
Valid question.
Barf.
And I wonder, maybe that book is on display alongside his skeleton.
But I hope it's like locked in a case. Like people are touching that. Ugh.
Probably in Zach Bagans' museum.
100%. That is the sicko. That is the kind of sicko who is doing that. It's Zach Bagans for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yuck. Yucky.
Yeah. I don't know if those were... I mean, this is like our dream episode. Was that a dream?
Right.
Or was it a visitation?
I don't know.
Either way, it pointed to where she was.
So. Yeah, either her subconscious telling her or her dead stepdaughter. Yeesh.
Yeah, right.
Yeesh.
I know. And I have 3 like rapid succession ones.
Ooh, yeah.
Of ghosts.
Hit me.
Of people of, let's see, what are they called? The people who do the crime. What are they called?
The perps.
Yeah.
I sound like Olivia Benson.
Yeah.
Perps.
There we go. The perps. Mm-hmm. Who have been haunted by their victims and then confessed. So
that's really good.
I know. Okay, so in 2013, Adrian Dow, Daou, confessed to the murder of Jennifer Stewart, claiming that after he committed the crime, he went for a walk and saw the ghost of his victim. Since that day, he claims he started believing in God and belatedly concluded that it's not a good thing to kill someone.
No shit, Adrian. Jesus.
Yeah. But yeah, seeing her ghost is what made him decide to come forward and realize that that was wrong. But another little detail they shared was that he committed this murder because it thought it would help legitimize his rap career. So this guy is another sicko on the list.
Yeah, and just like sounds like an idiot.
Yeah. Yep.
Jesus.
So that's one. And then in April 2017, serial killer Terry Childs confessed to 2 murders while serving time for 3 more. Childs says he was being eaten up by his victims Joan Mack and Christopher Hall. And no, he didn't mean in the abstract sense of overwhelming guilt. He told police they were in his cell, staring at him and eating his brain. So that was probably a hallucination.
Yeah.
But he was seeing his victims. So...
that's...
in a way, it's
if
haunting.
I were a ghost and I had been murdered, I would force hallucinations on my murderer. I would mess them up mentally.
Yeah, that's fair. It's par for the course.
Creepy.
So, yeah.
I don't know if Terry Childs.
No, I don't either. But yeah, it sounds like
a serial
5 murders.
He's from Santa Cruz.
Oh, really?
Oh, he's terrifying looking now. Wow.
Oh, I want to see.
Murders of at least 5 people in Nevada and California spanning from 1979 to 1985. True victim count is unknown, but he's claimed at one point to have killed 12.
Yuck. He is scary looking.
Yeah, I don't know what his vibe was.
Yeah, it does say here, so his final 2 crimes occurred in 1984 and 1985, but his confession didn't come until 2017. So
weird.
those ghosts were
Yeah, they did
persistent.
their job. Yeah, love that. Love
They
that for
didn't give
them.
up. Yep. And then last one, little trigger warning for sexual assault. That in January 2017, Jose Ferreira confessed to a 1982 crime wherein he pushed 13-year-old Carrie Ann Jopic down a stairway to her death because she refused to have sex with him. Her mother credits her daughter, Carrie Ann, rather than the police for solving the crime because 33 years after she was killed, Ferreira claimed that the girl's spirit had been haunting him, and he confessed. So,
oh my God, amazing.
good for her. I know.
Yeah, good for her. What
don't
the
give
hell?
Up. If you die and
you're
come
a
back
ghost.
as a ghost, don't give up.
Don't give up. Keep going. You can do it.
Yeah.
They will be convicted. They will confess.
They will. Exactly.
Oh my God.
Do not give up. So,
wow. I definitely think this needs to be some sort of series that we bring back because there is so much content. Like, holy crap. It was so hard to pick. I was like, I'm just picking the first two that I like. Wasn't trying to like find like what's the absolute best one. So there will be more. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Girls Gone Spooky. You can write us your spooky stories or DM us. But you can email them to girlsgonespooky@gmail.com. Please rate and review the podcast. Tell your friends to listen. Word of mouth really helps. And yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week. And until then, stay spooky.
Stay spooky. Bye.
Bye.